So we're going to start, today's session is on quizzes. And we're going to create a quiz. We're going to do an overview of the question types. We're going to talk about question banks and the settings. So let's get started. So in your course in Canvas, on that left-hand menu is a quizzes area, and that's where all of your quizzes are going to live. For the purposes of this training, I started a training quiz, and we are going to use this, but I'm going to show you from the beginning how to create a new quiz. So you go to the top and you click on the quiz button. You choose a name for the quiz. You say how many points that quiz is worth. You assign it a group. So if you do not have a folder for that already, you can create an area for it. And that's where it's going to get pulled into the grade book. I already created a group and I called it quizzes. I want it to display as points, but you can choose percentages. If it's a complete, incomplete, if it's points, it can be letter or it can be a scale. Again, I'm just going with points and I'm saying this quiz is worth 100 points. I can choose not to count this towards the final grade. You can do anonymous grading. So if when I go into grade, I don't know whose assignment I'm looking at. You can also make instructor comments anonymous. I personally wouldn't do that because I want the students to know that it's me that's giving them the grade. I'm assigning this to everyone. I can choose to just assign it to a certain person in the course. There really aren't any students in this course, so I can't show you that. I can put in a due date for this exam. So let's say that this is class begins June 3rd, and I want this to be completed on Saturday, the end of the first week. And I can say that it opens up on June 3rd. At 12 a.m. So I'm starting it at the beginning of the day and I'm closing it. I'm saying it's due on the 13th. I will give the students until, helps if I'm in the right month. I will give them till the 14th to do it at 11:59 p.m. because you always have that student who waits till the last second to do something. But that's completely up to you. So then I'm going to save this quiz. Now in quizzes, you're going to see that it's available, when it's available, how many points it's worth, when it's due. If I click on that quiz, I can then scroll down and I can say, I'm going to build questions, because this is how you add questions to your quiz once you've created it. You build. You can add instructions for the quiz by clicking on the pencil, and that's the quiz instructions. So complete all of the questions, whatever you want to say to the students. To add a question, you click on the plus sign. And these are all of the types of questions that are available. But let's say that I've already built a question and I have a categorization question already. So I can go to insert content and I can look for my question bank and I can add that question from here. If I'm not sure what the question said, I can click on the arrow to open it up, and then it gives me what is a vegetable and what is a fruit. If the answer is neither, don't add it. So then I can look and I can say, okay, so these are what I've decided are vegetables, and these are what I decided are fruits, and these are things that are outliers. So this is the question I want to add. So I'm going to click the plus sign and it's going to add it to my quiz. And then I can close this. So adding a categorization question, you click on the plus sign if I want to add a new one, and I'm going to click on categorization. This is the question title. Students do not see this when they are in the quiz, so you can put anything in there or you can leave it blank. This is the question that you're asking the students. So what do you want them to categorize? In this particular question, I said, what is a fruit and what is a vegetable? And then I listed those out. So this is where you're going to type in your question. You can make it bullet. You can add a video. It has the rich text editor, so you can do that. Then you decide what your category A is going to be and what your category B is going to be. And if you have a third one, you can add another category. These cannot be blank to save the question. You have to have a category 1, you have to have a category 2, and you have to have some type of answers. And again, you can add more answers to either side or just one side. You can add another category. I mean, and you can add distractors, which is what I did in the question above. I added yogurt, egg, bacon, and honey. None of those are fruits or vegetables, so those are outliers or distractors. If you have outcomes that you want to align this question to, you would click on that. In this course, I don't have any outcomes or institutional outcomes, so I cannot add it to anything, and I can add it to the bank. So once I create this question, I can add it to the bank. I'm not really creating this question because I already have one of this type. So I'm removing it. Does anyone have any questions about categorization question type? Okay, I'll move on to the next one. File upload. So this is if you want the student to upload a file that they've created. So if I click on file upload, I can say, please submit your map. For some reason, my keyboard is not working. As you can see, this is rich text format, so it will fix that. I can then, once I've decided what the question is, I can say I want to limit how many files they can submit. And I can also restrict the file type. So if in the instructions I said, I want a JPEG or I want a PDF, I can then say here that I'm not going to accept .pdf or .doc, comma, .docx. So that's the format. You would put the dot, the file type, comma, space, dot, the file type, comma, space, dot, the file type. And you can continue on as many as you need, but the file extension needs to be separated by a comma. And it tells you that right here. And then this is where you're going to set how many points this question is worth. I'm just going to leave it at default 1, and I'm going to say done. But if I know I'm only going to have 20 questions for this quiz, I may, and I want it to be 100 points, I may change that. Or this question is more worth more points than maybe a true or false. So maybe I might make this one 10 or 5, but you can adjust the points as you see fit. And then once you're done, you click done. And then that question will upload and it will give the student the area to drop the thing. And I made a mistake. It's not what type you don't want, it's what type you do want. So this is going to accept only PDF doc. So if you only wanted a JPEG, you would put .jpeg here, not what you don't want, what you do want. Now let's say that I want to add a question in between question 1 and question 2. I then click on the plus sign between that. If I want it to be at the bottom, then I would click here. So I'm going to add content. I'm going to put it at the bottom, and I'm going to skip formula for now. I'm going to go to matching, which is what we had in Blackboard. So for the matching question, you type in again your question, or as they call it, the STEM, and then and then you choose what the question. So in here, I would say match the word and definition. So then I could say whatever the question would be and what the answer would be. So let's say that this was and then you can add more questions, but you get out. I was doing animal, vegetable, mineral. And you can say if you want the questions to be shuffled. So do you want them to be random? Do you want them to be, are you going to give credit for partial? So if there are 15 of these, will they get credit for the ones that they answered right? Or do you want them to be exact match? Again, you can add it to the item bank and you can choose how many points this question is worth. Any questions on matching? So I'm going to save this. Oh, I can't leave it blank. So I have to delete these. In Blackboard, it would save it and just remove those unfilled answers. In Canvas, it does not. Multiple choice is the same as it was in Blackboard. So you put in your question. You choose which is the correct answer. I can shuffle them so that they're in different orders as the students take the test. Again, I can change the points or add it to the item bank, and I click done when I'm finished. Any questions on multiple choice? Okay. The next one we're going to look at is, all right, so we're going to go to stimulus because this is something new. So with a stimulus question, right? You can add content to that question. So let's say that I have an image of the Declaration of Independence, right? So under the stimulus, right, I am going to add that image, or I am going to add um I'm going to add a link, or I'm going to add just some text of the declaration, right? Would help if I could find that, but so I'm just going to put just anything in here. And don't judge me, Gabe, because it's definitely not the Declaration of Independence. Okay. And then I'm going to say, read the I swear I am typing. And I'm going to, and then I can choose where the questions are going to live. Are they going to be to the right of this article or image? Or are they going to be below? I'm going to leave them to the right. Okay, so I am going to say done. I have to add a title. It's going to be called deck. And now that this stimulus has been added, I can attach a question to it. So let's say I want to add a true or false. I can say this well, that's what it's going to say. And then I could say if this is true or false. And then I can say done. Now, when the students get to this area, right, and I can add more questions regarding this image or this text or this link or this video. So there can be 5 questions that uses the stimulus. And I just keep attaching the questions here. So when the students preview that, when we preview this, you'll see what I'm saying. So I can say multiple choice or and I'll do another true or false. And then I add the question and I could say Ben Franklin signed it, and then I can say done and attach the question. So now I have 2 questions regarding this. So when the students go in and review it, does anyone have any questions about the stimulus question?
Mm.
Okay, so the other types of questions there are true or false, which we've gone over, numeric, which is mathematical. You can add a formula with, you teach science, right, Bill? So we'll look at the numerical one. So the numerical question, you can enter a formula. So I could say 5 plus open X close parentheses, right? Where anything that is in the, it's not parentheses, sorry, it's the single one. And you don't have to use X, you can use any letter. And then the single to close it. Come on. Thank you. And so oh, I'm sorry, I did numeric. I wanted formula. So 5 plus X. So you could do any variable in the open and close parentheses. Then you put in the formula definition, right? So in this case, it would be 5 plus X. And then you can say how many solutions there will be. So in this question, right, I can say 5 plus X, where X is between 0 and 10. And we're going to pretend that that actually says where X is between 0 and 10. So then when we do the number of solutions, right, there's not going to be 200 solutions because the max there can be would be 10. And then I can click generate. Number of solutions. It does contain a variable. I already have this question created, and I'm just going to add it from the bank. They gave me a brand new computer, and I'm going to have to put a ticket in on it because as you can see, it's just not working quite right. So I'm going to edit this question so that you can see. Yeah, edit in the bank. Forgot. That's a good point. If you create a question bank, you have to edit the question in the bank versus in the test, because otherwise it doesn't update. Edits made in the bank will appear on any assessment that that question is attached to. Okay, so what is 5 plus X? And I said where X is a number between 0 and 10. And I put the minimum value 0, the maximum value 10. I said the formula definition is 5 plus X. And then I said the number of solutions is 10. And I clicked generate, and it actually generated. So if X is 0, the result would be 5. If X is 8, the result would be 13, because 8 plus 5 is 13. You can allow the students to have a calculator. So if I click this button, I can have a basic or a scientific calculator, and they're going to recommend that you enable one question at a time if you do the calculator, because if you do not enable one question at a time and you have questions where you don't want them to access the calculator while they're figuring them out, if the calculator is open and they can see all of the questions, they can use that calculator during that thing. So I'm going to say, yes, I want it enabled. I only want it to show for that one specific question. And then I am going to click submit. And that question will have been added. If I come back to the top, I can see that I can preview this quiz. So if I click on this, it's going to bring me into the student view, the preview view, and I can then say what is a fruit and what is a vegetable. And then I just take these and I drag them and I drop them. Actually, rhubarb is a vegetable, zucchini is a fruit, strawberry is a fruit, carrot is a vegetable. Then I can say, I know peppers are a fruit, but I'm going to say it's a vegetable. Tomato, I definitely know is a fruit. Kale is a vegetable. Apple is, and I'm going to say honey is a fruit. I know it's not, but I'm adding it anyways. Then I can say next. And then it's going to allow me to drag and drop the file. Then I can say next. And then I can choose dog is an animal. Carrot is a vegetable. I can say next. This is a fruit, banana, next. I'm going to say true. I have no idea what that question says. I'm going to say true. But you can see here that I've been able to see the stimulus that was added for both of those questions. I can click next. If so I'm going to say 5 because I'm saying 0 is what is 5? What is 5 plus? Okay, submit. Yeah, I don't care that I didn't answer that question. So I got 4 out of 7 because honey is not a fruit and peppers are a vegetable. Peppers are. And celery was a vegetable, so I got that wrong. I didn't answer that, so I got that wrong. Okay. So do you have any questions about how it looks when the students review it?
Diane, I have a question about uploading the file. So I'm guessing, but I don't know because first time I'm looking at this. Would the student click browse and then it's the same as to what we're,
Yes. They can
you
just drag and drop it. So let me go back and do that preview again. Yeah, I'm skipping that one. So I can either browse for a file, right? Or I can open a file on my desktop. And I'm pretty sure I have one somewhere. And I can just take a file, right? And drag it and drop it into, I just closed it. Yeah, thanks.
I'm sorry I asked that question.
No.
Were you thanking me? No.
my computer is being so wackadoodle today. Oh man. It started this yesterday and I changed the batteries in my keyboard and I changed the batteries in my mouse and I restarted the computer 3 times. Okay, so I can say browse and it will open up a browse window and allow me to go into and just choose something and upload it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
And then if I then I said, oh, I put the wrong thing in, I can delete it and redo it again. It says you can drag and drop also. But when I tried that, it did let me do it. So I could just drag something off my desktop and drop it right in there, and it will upload also. So the students can either browse or they can drag and drop. Any other questions about question types?
I have a question, Diane.
Mhm.
Okay. Will we have to recreate all these quizzes once we,
No, because when we are migrating your courses, so if I go into my item banks, right, which is why I tried not to, because right now I am enrolled probably in 30 courses. So you can see I have a bunch of banks with questions in them.
so quizzes,
So your quizzes will come over. Your
Yeah.
quizzes will come over. You'll just need to look at them to make sure they're correct. And your banks will be in your course space.
so they'll look the same, my questions.
Should.
Okay.
Yes.
All righty.
Thank you so.
We are moving all of the content over. I can tell you, I am personally not. I've moved 32 courses so far. And I mean, I'm making sure the quizzes come over. So I'm looking in Blackboard, and if it says there are 15 quizzes, I look in Canvas, and if it says there are 15 quizzes, and each quiz had 10 questions, and each quiz has 10 questions, that's as far as I'm going. I'm not opening up each quiz and looking at each question. You're going to have to do that when after the migration, after you're notified that your course has been migrated and it's ready for you to look at.
And I just want
Diane-
to add,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
just want to add that I think that's going to be really easy once you, like how Diane has demonstrated, you can actually preview the test with when you're like looking at the questions and just kind of see how students will see it as you go through and just make sure all the questions are all set. I think also what will be good, which will be also like just double checking the settings as well, which I'm sure Diane will go over.
Diane, I have a
That's why
question.
That's why I stopped talking about question types, because if I go through all the rest of them, we're going to run out of time, and I'm not going to be able to do the rest of the stuff. So
I have a question, Diane. In
Mhm.
Blackboard, sometimes the matching questions were notoriously inaccurate. They gave people a lot of trouble. Has that been addressed in Canvas?
Canvas, I will say that everything that I've tested and everything I've tried, and Alex and Asani and Thais and Andrew can respond also, but everything has worked as it's supposed to. So we haven't run into any of those issues where with Blackboard they said it did this, but they didn't really mean that it did that. They meant something else.
Okay, thanks.
Diane, one more thing, please.
Mm-hmm.
Will the existing test banks still, will they still exist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have a publisher test bank, I moved a course for a faculty member, Sally, and all of her publisher test banks came over.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
So we talked about shuffling questions. We talked about the calculator. Again, once you I'm going to return. Once you go into quizzes, when you click on the quiz, to add questions or to edit the questions or anything, you have to click on build. In quizzes, you will notice that neither one of these quizzes I've published. Once I complete them, so let's say that I go in and I take a look at this and I go, yeah, no, the dates are set, everything is good, I can save and publish it. And then you will notice that there's a green check mark, and then it will become available to students, but not until June 3rd. So if students clicked on quizzes, they would not see this quiz because it's not published, and they would not see this quiz because it's not available yet. The great thing about Canvas is they have edit. So you can add students. If you have a pink slip for a student, you can add it. If you add it to quiz 1, when quiz 2 is created, they automatically get the extra time. You don't have to set it for every quiz or every assignment or anything that has a timer attached to it, then becomes automatically extra time. You can also add a student here. So let's say you have a student that's deployed and they're going to be away during the first week of classes, but you want them to be able to access that test because they've contacted you. You can assign it to them and set an availability date different than everyone else, and they can actually access the test. We've tested that, and it does work in Canvas. Oh, sorry, clicked the wrong thing. The other thing that's wonderful about Canvas quizzes, right? So you have a student who's taking a quiz, right? And their kid falls down the stairs and they run to go check. And when they come back, they were booted from the quiz. In Blackboard, you either had to allow them another attempt where they would take all 50 questions again, or it was always difficult. In Canvas, the student, you can reassign the quiz and let the students pick up where they left off. And I don't know that Asani, can I show that with no students in here?
Oh, that might be a little difficult to show.
Right. But you can do it, and it's pretty easy. You can also let them revise an answer. So let's say that you have an essay question and they said, I read that wrong. I thought you wanted to know what wasn't part of D-Day, not what was part of D-Day. And so I completely answered that question wrong. You can let them revise the answer for that one essay question. And again, that's going to be difficult to show because we don't have any students in this class. We'll have to, for the next iteration of this, we will definitely have to add a student and let them take one of the tests so that we can show how that works.
Yeah, no problem. We can definitely go over those settings if you guys make any appointments with us.
Mm-hmm. In any place you can, so if I'm in the quizzes, I can click the menu and I can go to SpeedGrader. And I can look at the student submissions for this quiz, and I can give them feedback. I can give them media comments, so I can record something and add it. I can attach a file, or I can just type in a comment. But there are many places in Canvas where you can access the grading. You can access it here under grades. You can manage your question banks from the quizzes area in that drop down menu at the top where you can add the quiz. You can also manage your question banks.